Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the number one source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter. The song was off the chain. Loved it, loved it. So it was such a pleasant surprise. I couldn't wait to the call so that we can listen to that song. And once Jester jumps back on, I'm sure he'll enjoy talking about it too. That was exciting. Thank you, Brunette Grand. That was so sweet. We have such an amazing community, amazing tribe here at Goldilocks QFS Dialogues. That was that was awesome. Uh, Goldilocks was giving a shout out. Jester, did you hear yourself in that song, young man?
Hey, it's kind of weird. I guess
Kind of weird hearing your name on the song, huh?
it's weird. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure you've been serenaded before a couple of times.
Well, I don't like to kiss and tell.
Awesome, awesome. You ready to rock and roll, brother?
Absolutely.
Yes. All right. All right. We're gonna start out with a prayer. First, folks, thank you all for joining. This is, of course, Saturday Night Dialogues. It is Saturday, August the 17th, 2024. We have a jam-packed call for you folks tonight. You're going to get some amazing surprises, and we're going to jump into some very powerful articles and information that Goldilocks has put out for us. And let's go right to some prayer so we can kick this off. Father God, we thank you, as always, for your love, your kindness, your mercy, your grace. We thank you for allowing us to be here amongst each other again as a soul tribe. We know that you have collectively brought us together for a purpose greater than ourselves, but for a purpose for humanity. And also, of course, first and foremost, to empower ourselves, our families, and our loved ones. We ask that you guide myself and Jester tonight on this call to bring forth the message through our words, through our hearts, that is pleasing to you first and foremost, and then also pleasing and empowering to the members on this call. We thank you for Goldilocks. We thank you for Jester. We thank you for Wiley. We thank you for my angel, Lady E. We thank you for all the members and all the subscribers to our channel. And we just want to give you all the honor, the glory, and the praise in your precious name. Amen. All right, and folks, before I forget, when we get to the Q&A, please remember it is Q&A. So when you raise your hands, please ask a question. We have a limited time. We don't want to tie up our time with people making comments, long comments on the Q&A part. So we appreciate that. Real quick first, also, again, Brunette Grand, thank you, thank you, thank you. That was so amazing. Um, Folks, our Goldilocks QFS Dialogues, of course, is Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., where we break down Goldilocks articles, and we're open for questions that we can help you to understand what the articles are and the information that's coming out from Goldilocks. And then also, Jester's Place is open from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday, and then Saturdays at 8 p.m., right before the Saturday night call. And then Higher Learning is on Thursdays with Anastasia and myself at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And that is also very powerful and uplifting spiritually when we spend that time on Thursdays with each other. Um, Now, earlier in the room, I had mentioned something that I actually got from Jester. I get a lot from you, Jester. Jester mentioned just last week, and he said it before, but it really hit me last week when Jester said to everyone on the call that you are an elite group. And if you don't realize how much we are an elite group, I believe tonight, very shortly, you're going to find out. It's going to really make sense to you. It's going to hit home. It's going to really, really show you how we are the 1% of the 1%. And um, there are not a lot of people in the world that know about this event. As a matter of fact, most countries around the world look to the United States for information in regards to the RVGCR. We have several members, as you all know, from around the world. Um, and I was in conversation with a group out of Canada, as a matter of fact, last week, and I'll be doing a call with them next week. I was introduced to them by D Gross, and and I spoke to the young lady who's in charge of the group, and she said in Canada they don't get any information about the RV. They literally have to follow Goldilocks for any information related to the RV, and I'm actually have come to realize that that is the same around the world because a lot of countries, their media, their social media, even some are censored. Uh, as a matter of fact, the group out of Canada even mentioned to me that a lot of their members don't even have Telegram; they don't have access to it. So I'm starting to find out that this is kind of common around the world. So, as you all know, about 3 weeks ago, it'd be 3 weeks Monday, we launched on YouTube Goldilocks Global Banking News, our podcast, and it has taken off in an amazing fashion. And so, what we are going to do before we kick off and get into these articles, we're going to prove to you how you are an elite group. We're going to prove to you how following Goldilocks and the information that Goldilocks is sharing proves to you that you are in the 1%. And the information that you get, and is being shared by Goldilocks, Jester, Wiley, and myself, we're about to prove something to you. Amber, are you here, young lady? If you can raise your hand. Oh, there you go. How you doing, young lady? If you can unmute. Do, 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 do. I, I just. Oh, okay. You have to unmute. You can unmute now, Amber. You're still
Okay.
muted. There you go. There you
I'm
go.
here. Hey, everybody.
How's it
Hi,
going, young lady?
Jessica. It's going great. How are you doing?
Good. Good. I'm sorry I cut you off giving Jester a shout out.
Oh, yeah. I was saying hi, Jester and the fam. Hey.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Jester is something else.
Okay, you ready to party up in here. Okay.
I know. Jester is so funny. How's Zach doing? He's doing good. He's with you?
Oh, yeah, he's right here.
All right,
Hello, hello,
excellent.
hello.
Young man, you doing all right?
I'm beautiful, sir. How about yourself?
Excellent, excellent, excellent. I know you got a sneak peek into this surprise that we're going to share. Amber and I are going to share. Are you excited?
Oh my God. Let's Let's get it, young man. Oh my goodness.
All right. So, folks, we're about to. I asked Amber to do us the honors of volunteering to participate in the beginning of this call to give this surprise, to show this surprise to you all. And so, without further ado, I'm gonna drop this in the room. Let me go ahead and grab it. All right. This is huge. All right, I just dropped it into the room. Folks, what this is, and let me pause it. I'm going to pause it. 1 second. I'm going to pause it. So now, what this is the YouTube channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. As I have shared several times, Goldilocks, the RVGCR is not about Iraq. It's not about Vietnam. This is a global, worldwide event. And saying that as it pertains to the information that is out there regarding the RVGCR, many countries tune in to Goldilocks to get the actual information because Goldilocks provides a global perspective that encompasses the whole entire process, the whole entire puzzle of the RVGCR. And many countries, like I said, they don't have access. So we have some analytics we're going to share with you. As I've mentioned several times, Goldilocks, over 100 countries around the world tune in. Over 50 global agencies, technical agencies, and financial agencies tune into Goldilocks. So now we're going to share with you the actual analytics to show you the geography of countries that are tuning into Goldilocks Global Banking News from around the world. As we know, degrowth is strongly connected in the Middle East, along with Goldilocks, directly to the CBI, Saudi Arabia, other countries around the world, the IMF, the Bank of International Settlements, so forth and so on. Now we're going to share with you some analytics on the top 25 countries that within the last 3 weeks that we launched are tuned in to Goldilocks Global Banking News to get information from Goldilocks on the RV. You ready, Amber?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. So what Amber's going to do, folks, Amber's going to read down this list of the top 25 countries, and you're going to see how the world is tuning into Goldilocks, and you are a part of an elite group. All right, Amber, you go ahead and you read the country. I'm going to repeat it, and we're going to go right down the line. You ready?
I am ready.
Let's rock and roll, young lady. All right, you go to the first one. What you got?
Okay. First one, United States.
United States tunes in, of course, to Goldilocks Global Banking News. Top 25. Who's next?
Canada.
Canada. Absolutely. Tunes in. Who's next?
Australia, of course.
Australia. Yes, yes. Next?
United Kingdom.
United Kingdom. Yep.
South Africa.
This is our first BRICS nation, folks. If you don't know, BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Of course, we got some new nations that just tuned in. South Africa, part of BRICS, is tuning into Goldilocks Global Banking News. Who's next?
Japan.
Japan. Yep. Who's next?
Deutschland, Germany.
Germany's tuning in. These are all folks, I don't want to fail to mention, these are all subscribers. We're countries that have subscribers to Goldilocks Global Banking News. Who's next?
Philippines.
Philippines and their subscribers. We got TDJ. Yes, out of in the Philippines, actually Manila, and there's many in the Philippines that are subscribers to Goldilocks Global Banking News. Who else?
Colombia.
Colombia. Next.
Thailand.
Thailand. Yep. Goldilocks Global Banking News. Now, who is next?
Brazil.
Brazil. BRICS,
Netherlands.
ladies and gentlemen. Yep. Netherlands. I believe we have Rebecca. Rebecca out of the Netherlands and Minnie in the Netherlands. Next.
New Zealand.
New Zealand, Kake and Minnie. We got many. Kake, you're not the only one. There's plenty out of New Zealand that are subscribers tuning into Goldilocks Global Banking News podcast. Who else?
Mexico.
Mexico. MA, you're not alone out there. Who else?
Indonesia.
Indonesia. Yes. Who else?
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Boricuas. Yes. Tuning in. Yes.
Malaysia.
Malaysia. Next.
Vietnam.
Vietnam.
Hey, dun-dun-dun-dun.
Peekaboo. That's not just your mom and your family. We got a lot of people tuning in from Vietnam and that are subscribers to Goldilocks Global Banking News. Who's next?
Spain.
Spain. And then who?
India.
India. BRICS nations. BRICS nation. Now, this next one, Amber, you can attest to this. When I sent you the first list of the top 25, I had to come back and change it within 10 or 15 minutes, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Now,
Couldn't
can you tell the
believe
folks? Can you tell why I had to send you an updated video?
Because Ecuador came on board.
Ecuador came on board with subscribers, hundreds of subscribers to Goldilocks Global Banking News. Who else?
Bulgaria.
Bethelda, you're not alone out there, young lady. You're not alone. Who else?
Dum dum dum. Iraq.
Iraq is tuned in. You forgot one.
Oh, Switzerland.
Switzerland, yes, tuning in with hundreds of subscribers. And then, as you mentioned, Iraq is there are several, more than you can imagine, folks. And these are some people that you would never imagine that are subscribers to Goldilocks Global Banking News. Who else we got?
South Korea.
South Korea. Yes. Surprise, surprise. Who else?
Sweden.
My old stomping grounds when I was in the banking industry, tuning in to Goldilocks Global Banking News. Last but not least,
Turkey.
We're not talking about Thanksgiving, or we're not talking about turkey sandwiches. This is the nation of Turkey with subscribers tuning in to Goldilocks Global Banking News. So when Jester says you are elite, folks, you better believe it. You are elite. Amber, when I sent you this list, your response to me was amazing. You were shocked.
I couldn't believe it. How many countries were on here? I knew it was the United States and, of course, Australia, New Zealand, but never. I mean, South Korea, Japan, Iraq. Oh my gosh.
All tuning in with subscribers to Goldilocks Global Banking News. Thank you, my beautiful lady. I appreciate you. Thank you for your participation. And it's always a pleasure, folks, that you don't realize that Amber and Zach are celebrities in the tribe. For those that don't know, they're the ones that they almost got kidnapped by the vice president of a top bank. I won't mention it. We had a call a while back and they mentioned the name of the bank, but that particular vice president told her and her fiance he got from his higher ups, the RB is real and it is going to happen. And over 20 years of working in the banking industry, he always thought it wasn't real, but he got from his corporate executives that it is happening, and he kidnapped Amber and Zach for a little bit. He didn't want to let you guys out of the branch, but they established their relationship, and that's it. We appreciate you. Thank you so much, beautiful. Thank you.
I love the theme song.
Yes, Brunette Grand came through. All right. So, folks, you are a part of an elite group. We're going to jump right into the first powerful, amazing article. It's going to be a little in depth, but it's going to be so worth it. We're going to go global when Goldilocks dropped this bombshell of an article about Ripple. All right, about Ripple. Now, folks, when you hear us talking about Ripple and XRP, it's not about you investing. No, you got to think of the global mechanism and the utility of XRP. And we're going to break it down and explain it to you. And we're going to make it relevant so you understand how it is intricately involved and so important to our currencies. All right, here we go. Earlier this month, Ripple joined the ISDA. What is the ISDA? It's the International Swaps and Derivatives Association. It's an organization that helps standardize the derivatives industry. Folks, you don't need to know the details and the intricacies and technologies of what it is. Bottom line, it encompasses a lot in the banking industry, and relative to you and I, this currency exchanges fall under this umbrella. The ISDA agreements are used to formalize and standardize the terms of various types of derivatives transactions. This includes interest rate swaps, credit default swaps, foreign exchange derivatives, and commodity derivatives. Don't forget what's going to back our currencies, of all countries' currencies: commodities. The ISDA, which of course is the International Swaps and Derivatives Master Agreement, is a standard contract that governs all over the counter derivatives transactions between parties. The agreement covers counterparties obligations, payment of deliveries, contract termination, dispute mechanisms, any legal provisions. This is, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes, folks, to what you want to understand, what you want to know, and how it relates to us. The ISDA also has a protocol that is a multilateral contractual amendment mechanism. I'm going to skip to the next paragraph. The ISDA creates a safe environment for traders to exchange several assets, including foreign currency exchange. Remember, this is about Ripple. This partnership between Ripple and the ISDA is a bridge between traditional assets and digital assets. What are traditional assets? Do you have Dong? Do you have Dinar? Do you have Bolivar? Do you have various currencies? Those are traditional assets. So Ripple and the ISDA is the bridge between the traditional assets, the paper traditional assets that we hold, and the digital assets that exist. That's our digital currency. That's our cryptocurrencies. That is what this is referring to when it speaks of digital assets. It allows Ripple to move the digital banking system across all sectors of the market globally. Well, what is the digital banking system? Folks, the digital banking system is the QFS. We are moving into a digital banking system, a new digital banking system. This is what Jester, I don't know if this was your feedback from 13, 14 years ago. You were the only one saying that we needed a new financial system, but here we are. All right. At this time, Ripple has been given full membership into the ISDA, the International Swaps and Derivatives Association. At this time, and now this association is giving Ripple access to $1.2 quadrillion in the derivatives market to work with going forward. So for those that may not know, quadrillion is more than trillion. We have a great deal of moving parts happening right now inside the new digital economy. This is the QFS that Goldilocks is referring to, speaking of the digital economy. And Ripple has been given full confidence in this membership to move assets from one destination to another. Now, so Ripple has been given full confidence in this membership to move assets from one destination to another. Folks, via XRP, via Ripple, as Goldilocks has shared plenty of times, as we have shared on this call plenty of times, it is going to be XRP, which is the world's bridge currency. Every currency around the world, every paper currency will have a digital representative of its paper currency. And how will that digital asset move that backs that paper currency? It will move via Ripple in the QFS, in the quantum financial system. So when Goldilocks shares that now Ripple has been given full confidence in this membership to move assets, to move what assets? To move the dinar backed by digital assets, to move Dong, whatever currencies we have. Ripple has just become a banking giant, placing itself inside the inner circle with players the likes of JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. Any money participating in any transaction going forward has Ripple's hands all over it. Several countries in the East, meaning the eastern part of the world, are beginning to utilize Ripple in the movement of their local currencies, meaning their own currencies. Just recently, India and the UAE, two BRICS nations, folks. UAE is one of the newest nations as a part of the BRICS. Just recently, India and the UAE are in the process of negotiating the trading of their oil. This is huge. The trading of their oil sector utilizing XRP as a means of exchange. Therefore, folks, what they're talking about is where they're going to ditch the US dollar, which is considered the petrodollar. They're ditching the US dollar. Instead of utilizing the US dollar for oil trade, for oil purchases, they will move to utilize XRP instead. Goldilocks continues. Can you imagine what will happen with the dollar when Saudi Arabia begins to do the same thing? Remember, folks, just a few months ago, where Saudi Arabia didn't, and the United States didn't renew the 50-year contract for the petrodollar, whereby out of Saudi Arabia controls the oil industry around the world. And therefore, the petrodollar, which for those that may not know, the petrodollar meaning petroleum, that was the US dollar has been the currency utilized by every country around the world, no matter if it's Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, Russia, China, Brazil, doesn't matter. Whatever country that has oil, when they did oil trades and they sold their oil, I don't care what part of the world they sold their oil to, it was not settled in their own currency. It was settled in US dollars. That was the agreement that was not renewed. I believe it was in June, the end of June. So Goldilocks says, can you imagine what will happen when when Saudi Arabia begins to do the same thing that India and the UAE are doing, where they're going to ditch the US dollar for XRP in exchange for oil? Now, Goldilocks says, this is leveling the playing field between currencies in the new digital economy. It is no longer an idea. It's an idea whose time has come. Now, if you are thinking, oh, this has nothing to do with my dinar, this has nothing to do with my dong or my currency that I hold, you are sadly mistaken, especially if you're thinking about the dinar, whereby these countries, India, UAE, Saudi Arabia, all these countries do trade with many other countries. Now, what I'm going to show you, because you may want to know, how is Iraq connected to this? Well, I'm going to show you, but I'm going to first go into this first link of this article and show you a broader perspective, then come back and show you how. I'm going to remind some of you of information that you know as it pertains to Ripple and Iraq, India and the UAE and Iraq, because we just touched on some things regarding that a few weeks ago. But we're going to touch on this first link. And I went into this link and did some in-depth looking into it. In fact, and I hope that some of you will follow along, because this is very powerful. And I'm going to share this with you. I didn't think about it until now, so I'm going kind of off the cuff, but I'm going to drop this right into the room so you all can see the visual and read it right along with me. So this is sort of quick and to the point. And when it drops in the room, I would hope that you all follow, because some of you, many of you who have been following along in the room are going to connect these dots. Boom, there it is. I think it just dropped. All right. Yes, this is a paragraph in this article, standing shoulder to shoulder with financial titans. This is regards to Ripple joining the ISDA in its 1.2 trillion, I'm sorry, quadrillion derivatives market, standing shoulder to shoulder with financial titans. This pivotal move isn't just a small leap for Ripple. It's a giant stride into an exclusive realm. Oh, that sentence, that hits me so spiritually. This pivotal move isn't just a small leap for Ripple, it's a giant stride into an exclusive realm. Ripple now stands alongside industry giants like JP Morgan Chase. For those that don't know, I just thought about this. This isn't what I was going to talk about initially about Iraq, but JP Morgan Chase has been in Iraq, I believe, since 2012. JP Morgan helped Iraq, was responsible, and they signed an agreement with the U.S. Department of Treasury and the Federal Reserve to help Iraq to rebuild their financial infrastructure and help Iraq. They actually sort of mentored Iraq to get them to the point where they have met international standards for banking. Yes, JP Morgan. Goldman Sachs is now with this agreement with Ripple is now along the elite, speaking of elite, of Goldman Sachs. The CME group, for those that know, remember what happened with the CME group. I just thought about this. Ripple just went live with listed the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and Goldilocks shared that. I think I do have something to share. Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Here it is. On July the 29th, I'm going to drop this into the room. On July the 29th, Ripple was listed officially, XRP listed officially as an indices with the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, July the 29th. Okay? JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, the CME Group, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, folks, is an international, it's a global exchange group. And Bank of New York Mellon, for those of you know the BNY, Bank of New York Mellon, you know who they are. Being in the same league as these heavyweights reflects Ripple's emerging dominance in the global financial sector. Folks, it's going to be XRP that's going to move our currency, our paper currencies, and their digital assets that are going to back our paper currencies, such as gold, that's going to back every currency around the world, is going to move via XRP. Here we go. Boosting more than 1,000 institutional members spanning 79 countries. The ISDA isn't merely a club, it's the backbone of the global derivatives market. Their role in setting standards and ensuring risk management best practices makes them an indispensable part of the financial world. This next one, a testament to digital assets. This is Goldilocks language, because Goldilocks is always talking about digital assets. Why? Because we are moving into the QFS is the new digital asset-based trading system. Ripple isn't the only digital asset making its mark with ISDA. Ding, ding, ding. Algorand too finds its place in the digital assets category. Ripple's entry, however, signifies the growing acceptance of digital assets on a global scale. Folks, this is the root, the core of the quantum financial system being interlinked, being onboarded with Ripple. Ripple's influence is expected to grow even stronger with this new membership. Can you imagine? Think of XRP. Ripple's inclusion in the ISDA opens doors to over 1,000 institutions worldwide. While the company's strategic moves within this association remain a subject of interest, its ambition to leave a mark in the global financial market is evident. But folks, this is a boom if you haven't known it was a boom. Now we're going to go back. We're going to go back to the second to last paragraph, where it talks about just recently India and the UAE are in the process of negotiating the trading of their oil. Now, I'm going to share with you how you must be able to connect the dots with what's going on globally as it pertains to the GCR. I'm going to help you connect these dots when I share this into the room. Speaking of the UAE and India connected to, they're going to be ditching the US dollar in exchange to utilize XRP for oil trade. Think billions daily. Think what will happen to the value of these currencies and the countries that trade with these countries. Speaking of the UAE and India. Now, I just dropped into the room. Here we have what is a basket of currencies? This is Iraq has a basket of currencies. Iraq is dealing. This is an older article, as you see from the 12th, from December the 26th of last year. Goldilocks shared this. This is the real basket of currencies. Iraq is dealing with a basket of currencies, reduces the dominance of the dollar. We are talking about reducing the dominance of the dollar again. Now, jump to the next screenshot that I shared with you. And there is something else that just hit me in my brain that I'm going to drop in here too. Now, this next one, this second screenshot is a continuation from the first screenshot showing the basket of currencies. Look at the second screenshot where it says highlighted, the first yellow highlight, Central Bank of Iraq. This issue of the dollar was discussed in the package of measures he took, the latest of which is important for cash blocks of foreign currencies under certain conditions, in addition to the recent measures in the agreement with the U.S. Federal Reserve. This also was with the U.S. Treasury to agree to deal with the UAE dirham. Didn't we just say something about the UAE and ditching the US dollar for XRP? Looks like the UAE is one of the basket of currencies that the dinar is going to be attached to. Then we have the euro, and then the Chinese yuan, and then the Indian, which is the India rupee. Also one of the currencies that's going to be a basket of which the dinar is going to be attached to. So when you see the UAE, dirham, and you see India, they're going to be ditching the US dollar. Instead of utilizing the US dollar for the trade of oil, it's going to be in XRP. I wonder the value of the UAE dirham in the Indian rupee being a part of the basket, officially a part of the basket of currencies that the dinar will be pegged to. Are you connecting dots? Are you connecting dots? Now, Ripple. Let's get into Ripple. Let's go back to Ripple. For those that may be new on the call, new to the room, may not be aware that how our members are very aware of what Goldilocks shared with us. And here's a screenshot plus a link that you can take a look at on your own time in regards to Ripple. On April the 27th, Goldilocks shared an article that Temenos, National Bank of Iraq, part of the Capital Bank Group, has successfully gone live with Temenos core banking and payments. Well, who is Temenos? Temenos is Ripple partner. Temenos is an actual Ripple partner. In fact, we talk about Ripple. For those that may not know, this is where you have to understand how important it is to be able to connect dots. Oftentimes, articles it's not just thrown in our face, where you have to be able to connect dots, and you may not be aware of what is being shared. For those that know, Temenos is a Ripple. When you see Temenos, you see Ripple. So connect these dots with Ripple. What is transpiring with Ripple? There's a spider web of countries and currencies that are all connected to Ripple and what's transpiring with this major announcement from the ISDA with Ripple. This is huge, folks. And before we go to the next one, I gotta yield to my good man Jester, because he's a Ripple head as well. Jester, you have anything you want to add to this, my good man? You have to unmute. Did I give you enough time to get yourself situated and clear, young man? If I move on, then you're going to unmute and start talking. Unless you are in the bathroom twinkling. So we don't want to interrupt you. We're going to move on. But this, folks.
No, I was like,
I thought I heard some twinkling. I wasn't sure.
no. I had all these thoughts collected up, and then I got so many dang screens on my computer, I lost the one where the mute button was. Oh well, it is one thing or another. So that's a good load of stuff what you brought up there on that one. This whole derivative thing, I don't think people understand the whole importance of this thing. This is a huge market for one thing. I'm not sure, if you've done the research on what as derivatives actually are, the function's instantaneous rate of change on anything, really, to be honest with you. I mean, anything can be a derivative. I mean, you can have a derivative on near anything that there is that anybody's trading.
Right.
Currencies are the most common one, of course, although there are other kind of contracts as well. So, these guys got probably into one of the largest markets in the world. I mean,
yep.
This is huge. And I appreciate you giving me a little preamble at the start of the call too. But back in the day, and we knew something had to happen. Of course, this is fairly complex, and we didn't really know how they were going to do it. You know what I mean? But you and Goldilocks, bring this forth on a daily basis. Explaining how things are coming together on this thing, and this is, it's actually kind of, it's under the radar. You know that, right? Nobody's paying attention.
Absolutely. Nope.
You know what I mean? I mean, even though it's open, we're the only ones looking at this. I mean, they have to put it out there, but the average person's just not got a clue on what's really going on. So, you are right when you tell everybody that they're in the small portion of people that are really going to have a clue what's going on in the end times of this thing.
Right.
So, these little data points, as they continue to proliferate, start making everything make much more sense. And it's obvious to me at this point in time now that Ripple is going to be a large player in this thing. And we knew all along. And I get to get back sometimes. I was talking to Robert, and I said, back when the SEC was giving them so much trouble, you got to wonder what was the Dark Cats, last hurrah. You know what I mean?
And no coincidence that this happens, the membership into the ISDA after the SEC lawsuit settle.
Yeah, right. Well, there's we gotta. I mean, it's not like there's. I mean, this ISDA is a big thing. There's like 1,000 institutional members. That's pretty huge.
Yeah.
79 countries. It's huge.
Yeah. So, folks, if you don't know about Ripple, all you need to know is that XRP. I don't need to go into details, but our exchanges, via the fact that are going to be backed with assets of each country and commodities of each country, those those assets, those commodities are going to be able to move through the QFS via Ripple. So this is bigger than you may even realize. But but a lot of you are sharp. A lot of our members, Jester, are
Yeah.
they're knowledgeable now. They're educated, so they're familiar. They're I'm sure they're connecting dots on this. They're picking
Well,
up what we're putting down.
I'll tell you what I want you guys to be looking for. I want you to be looking for the connection to the USD. All right, the USD. This is going to all come right into the UST somewhere.
That's
I
right.
promise.
That's right.
And you guys, somebody will see it. Somebody will see it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. All right, you ready to jump into the next one, my good man?
I am.
All right, brother. All right, we're gonna jump. We're gonna jump in. We're gonna guess. We got one more after this, then we're gonna go into some Q&A. All right, we're gonna go to Hong Kong. Again, for those, Goldilocks has shared plenty from Hong Kong. For those that don't know, let me remind you. Let me inform you that Hong Kong and their trading. Hong Kong is the biggest global trading partners that trades with over 100 countries around the world. So trading with over 100 countries around the world means they trade with countries that will be trading with their over 100 countries with their own currencies around the world. And those countries and their currencies are connected to the currencies from which many of us hold. And as we move into the regulations and the introduction of stable coins, in which Hong Kong has already, and Goldilocks has shared this with us via articles several months ago, and their sandbox with stablecoins. Every country around the world that does trade with another country will have stablecoins, because one country cannot have stablecoins and another one doesn't. And Hong Kong is one of the biggest players for that. So here we have Hong Kong. This is guidelines that are being presented. Hong Kong proposes revisions to guidance on fair value practices. What are fair value practices? Just think about it. The value of the currencies that we hold, are the values fair? Absolutely not. So here we have Hong Kong, one of the biggest global trading partners with over 100 countries, is talking about revisions to the guidance on fair value practices. This is talking about the fair value of prices on assets. Fair value practices, also known as fair value accounting or market to market, are practices that measure a business's assets and liabilities at their current market value. This means the fair value is the amount that an asset could be sold for a liability could be settled for, that's fair to both buyer and seller. Now, this is where we get into the meat and potatoes. This next part right here. We are continuing, Goldilocks says, to make credit valuation adjustments. Credit valuation adjustments, folks, is the technical term for the revaluation of assets. Revaluation, the revaluing of assets around the world, whether it's precious metals, whether it's paper currencies, whether it's digital currencies such as cryptocurrencies. This is a part of the credit valuation, the adjustment on the value of assets. Goldilocks continues, when the shift into the full implementation of the QFS is in place, our new digital asset-based trading system, which is the QFS, will change prices on traditional assets. Again, what are traditional assets? That's our paper currencies and other assets. So the changes on the prices on traditional assets moving into digital assets. I'm going to read this again slowly so you can connect the dots. We are continuing to make credit valuation adjustments when the shift into the full implementation of the QFS is in place. Our new digital asset-based trading system will change prices. It will change the prices on traditional assets moving into digital assets. This is talking about, Goldilocks is talking about the shift or the transition from the value on paper assets and traditional assets to those traditional assets now moving to a place where they'll have real prices, real values as they transition into the new digital asset-based trading system, or in layman's terms, moving into the quantum financial system, where technology and artificial intelligence will be responsible for in- increasing the value on assets. Some will move down because everything will move to their fair value. Goldilocks completes this paragraph. As you can see, Hong Kong is seeking guidance on creating a market with real values. Everything, folks, must and will move to its real value in the quantum financial system. All right. Jester, did you want to add anything to this one?
No, not really. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. I don't think there's much. You know, the interesting thing on this whole thing, I believe, is Hong Kong is staying involved and trying to set a database. I mean, that's for input here, and I guess from the standpoint of pulling all the data together, they're looking for what everybody thinks about it. Quite frankly, I don't know. We'll see. It's just good for doing,
Mm-hmm. Folks, for you all that may not know, I'm sure you don't know, for those that are new, and Jester's contacts and relationships directly with the U.S. Treasury, but also those relationships connected to Hong Kong as well. He may not often talk about that, but that is something that those of us that know do know, in Jester's connections with U.S. Treasury and also Hong Kong.
Well, I just think they're trying to set this whole fair market value thing is an interesting way of going about it, because they really don't have to do it that way, I mean, they can just lay it out and let it be, right?
Very true.
So this is an interesting step they're taking here, in my opinion. I'm liking to see what the end game of that is.
Right on. Right on. Ready for the next one?
I am.
All right, folks. Now we're going to get into the IMF. This is the last one, and then we're going to open up some Q&A and bring some of you folks in. And don't leave the call when we finish this article. There's something I forgot to do that I want to do right at the tail end of this article. So stick around. Okay, stick around, folks. I would like for you all to make sure, and also I would like to request, and I'm kind of going off script of what I was thinking. I would like to request at least at a minimum 5 people to ask questions on the Q&A when we get to it. Minimum. All right. And so I want you all to stick around. I see you. I do see you, Freedom. I'll put you in queue now.
Yeah. We'll give you a Tootsie Roll if you give us a question.
Right on. All right, folks, when you see the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund, I want you to understand how important they are. 1 second. I want you to understand how important the IMF is. For you that may not know, the IMF, when you think of Bretton Woods, okay? When you think of Bretton Woods, the IMF, the World Bank, is a part of Bretton Woods. So when Goldilocks shares these articles from the IMF, do not think that this is small time stuff. Bretton Woods is what is of course, the global agency that will announce the gold standard, which will be the trigger for the global RV. So here we are. The IMF is currently working on a working paper for governments to guide them through the transition into the new digital economy. The paper is done. It's Goldilocks is talking about something that is completed. Now, Goldilocks has shared many articles and also actions that and guidelines and rules and regulations that the IMF was and is implementing. Here we are talking about something else that's been completed. You can read the PDF file above. We need approval to move forward with Article 4 consultations. Remember, just a few months ago, the IMF finished their Article 4 consultation, which, folks, is an economic reform consultation with countries around the world to help them to evolve into international standards. Iraq was one. Okay, Vietnam was another, and others. Industrial policy is a government strategy that involves using targeted measures to influence the economy. It is done so by focusing on a specific industries, firms, and economic activities. The goal is to achieve certain economic or strategic objectives that promotes innovation. Governments can use a variety of tools to implement an industrial policy, such as subsidies, tax incentives, infrastructure development, protective regulations, research and development support, job protection grants and loans. The International Monetary Fund's introduction of a working paper will provide guidance for governments around the world through this transition we currently find ourselves. This is something that was completed, folks. This was under the radar that a lot of people that you wouldn't see posted in the media, fanfare. This is one of those things, one of those many big, humongous global things that has been completed by the International Monetary Fund. Folks, every bank around the world, every country around the world is connected to the International Monetary Fund. The International Monetary Fund is huge. And of course, our U.S. Treasury as well. As you can see from today's articles, governments are currently working on new legislative bills that will guide our new digital economy. And there's a PDF, folks. If you want to read it, you can read it. I went through it myself, not all, some of it, to get the base idea. But this is yet another big thing that's been completed by the IMF, which is a part of Bretton Woods. All right, Jester, you want to add anything on that, my good man?
And there's a lot going on at the IMF level. People, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on there.
Yes.
You're right. They just completed a lot of the Article 4 consultations, just Canada's, for a matter of fact. I was kind of looking in that. I mean, these things are huge, and as these countries complete these requirements, if you will, because an Article 4 consultation has a lot of ramifications with setting up that country with regard to how it reacts with everybody else. So, of course, they're talking about global growth is kind of steady right now, but they're slowing the disinflation, and the policy uncertainty is rising, which concerns me a little bit, because quite frankly, if the IMF is saying that, there's a certain amount of uncertainty that I still don't get where it's coming from. Because, I mean, here's the thing. Everything seems to be going our way, and if the IMF's blowing smoke, then it concerns me, because they got their finger on this thing more than anybody, to be honest with you. You know what I mean?
That's true.
And if they say prospects remain weak, I'm concerned about that, because it just makes me nervous. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, or we're all going to die or anything, but the IMF is important, and people need to understand how important the IMF is. I believe still yet that the AIIB has got a finger in there. They didn't just disappear; they're somewhere on the horizon there. I still think they're in the IMF, and I think they're just refusing to reinvent that wheel. But that's another story. So, this working paper is kind of cool. I don't know if you've seen any of it, but it's a global kind of a thing with regard to the whole digital economy that we see coming on. And so I got to give them a little bit of a, pat on the back for taking that up, because quite frankly, it's encouraging to see them picking it up as well. You know what I mean?
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I
Jester,
think we're going the right way. I really do.
For the quite a few new people that are on the call, Jester, if you don't mind, could you sort of give, I know this is off the cuff, but you're good for it. Could you give could you give sort of a background, if you will, of how things developed with you and your relationships with the UST, and how important the UST is to the global currency reset. I call the UST the king of the RV, but you are the best I've heard describe and explain the importance of the UST and how their role is. But people don't know how you develop those relationships and how things came about to where we are now. Because 13, 14 years ago, you were the only one saying we needed a new financial system. We needed a new republic. So if you can do that, I would appreciate it.
I wasn't the only one saying it. I was just the only one saying it out loud in Deniarland. Because I had a lot of really smart friends, and that's just the way it is. But how long do I got? Never mind. I'm just messing with you. Well, guys, this all goes back to how things were done and how things are now. I mean, the whole overlay of what's been done to the United States of America is the tragedy. And I mean, I'm not going to go into a great deal of detail here, but let's suffice it to say that the whole thing was corporatized, and it's an overlay of how things were really supposed to be. You're not supposed to be in this scenario. You're above this. You're a sovereign person. You're above this. You just don't know it right now. The ones that do, we don't put up with this crap. So we're in a different place, and we would like to get you to it, and you will get there. The UST is the real place where we are supposed to have our money from. Okay, the Fed is a bullshit deal that was instituted by the bankers and the government at the time, Wilson and those guys, Woodrow Wilson and all those guys that instituted the Creature from Jekyll Island and all that. You can read all about it if you like and figure it out. So, I mean, it's all an overlay. And there's nothing federal about the Fed, guys. It doesn't belong to the United States of America at all. It's a bunch of bankers that are taking advantage of every damn thing you do and taking advantage of your wage, your toil, and your identity. So the importance of the UST is when the gold-backed dollar comes back, it will come out of the UST. All right, it will not be in the Fed. It will not be the dollar you got in your wallet. So everybody says, "Oh, my all the gold-backed this, that, and the other thing." It does not exist right this second. Oh, well, that's not exactly true. It's underway, but we are aware of the Treasury direct accounts. I mean, I don't know if I should go there. Well, I mean, it's a funny story. Don't get me wrong, guys. I mean, it's a funny story. We accessed the federal Treasury direct accounts. We took our money out. Now, the assholes took it back. It didn't last long. They took it back. They clawed it back, and it's some interesting stuff because some of our guys paid off cars with it, and now the bank's coming back saying you owe for this car, and there was no proof of any of it, quite frankly, after it was all paid off. And so a lot of that stuff exists at the level, even now, that you could probably prove. I'm not going to go there because I don't want to get all. I don't want to get that can of worms started. We got a class coming up. We're going there in the classes. If you're interested to find out about all that, we're gonna teach you everything we can about what I'm talking about here in those classes. I think we got about nearly 100 people signed up right now. We're trying to pick the first
nice.
10 or 12. We want to pick the first 10 or 12 to get them really trained up good so that they can help us with the rest of it, because it's a little bit of a heavy undertaking. But anyway, back to the UST. The UST, you guys probably remember it. Well, I don't know if you do or not, quite frankly. Back in John Kennedy days, or excuse me, Robert F. Kennedy, and he instituted the silver certificate, correct? You guys know. Some of you know the story. That story is out of the UST, not the Fed. Okay, that silver certificate come from the UST. He authorized the Secretary of the Treasury to issue those notes. Those were backed, and that was his attempt at starting things back the other direction. Of course, the aftermath of that, everybody understands now. He was murdered for it, and it take a minute for Johnson to get all the rest of them back off the streets. There's a few still yet that are out and around, for antique value or whatever. But they're still legitimate. Don't get me wrong. But that's where we're headed. That's what's going to be happening. That's where we're going. And your accounts will be moved into the U.S. Well, they already are, from what I understand. Already there, already ready to rock and roll. When this thing's motors down. So I don't know if that's what you were looking for, Freedom. I mean, I could go on for about an hour and a half. So
yeah, no, that's awesome, because people don't. I'm sure people for the first time may be hearing that their accounts will be with the UST and not with the Federal Reserve. They may not be aware of the Treasury Direct. Which of course is connected to the U.S. Treasury Department. So yeah, that's solid information. We appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah, appreciate it. All right, folks, we're going to jump into some Q&A. Before we get into Q&A, what we would like for you to do, folks, if you have not liked, shared, and subscribed to the elite group channel of Goldilocks Global Banking News, we want you to subscribe to the channel and join the rest of these countries where people from around the world are subscribed and joining to get their daily updates on the GCR. So make sure we dropped into the room, and go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Make yourself at home, and don't miss your daily updates. Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.